Hey you, welcome back. This is your monthly reminder that we know practically nothing about GTA 6, but we can speculate, right? I mean, why not? It's fun, it adds more wrinkles to your brain. The Last of Us 2 had been one of the most anticipated sequels of all time throughout the years, and unceremoniously was leaked heavily online right before the release. Thanks, COVID. Well, fans are kind of divided on it. But we're not going to be talking about how it divided people today, we're going to be focusing on something different. My name is Keg, and with the Game Globe today, we're going to see if GTA 6 can and will copy The Last of Us 2's story. It's definitely possible for GTA 6 to potentially copy aspects of The Last of Us 2's story, but keep in mind that, well, thematically, the games are wildly different. The plot of the latest GTA game involves a slew of robberies and kind of right wrongs in the lives of three characters, with some betrayal involved. The Last of Us 2, to an extent, is similar with the stakes about but with the stakes about 1,000 times stronger. Despite everything, I feel that the biggest difference between the two series in if the story could be copied is how personal the characters are to the audience. I don't really feel much of an emotional connection to Trevor, Franklin, or Michael, but Joel, Ellie, Abby, Lev, yeah, I definitely feel a huge connection with all of them and their stories. And, you know, the whole dynamic of a main character that you really almost grew up with, such as the first Last of Us game, being almost unceremoniously killed off in the second, was such a gut punch to many different fans that I just don't think that kind of emotional value can really be found again in Grand Theft Auto. It's just not that kind of series, it's not catering to that kind of audience.
Why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed? Get this over with.
What I'm trying to say is that Grand Theft Auto 5, as cool as the story is, the events of the story feel like they just happen, like a movie. With The Last of Us 2 and the second game, of course, it feels a lot more fluid, and feels as though it's happening seemingly in real time. It's really hard for me to definitively say, yes, GTA 6 could copy The Last of Us 2 story, because the cycles of revenge that we see, The Last of Us 2's atmosphere is so wildly different from being apocalyptic in the first game and post-apocalyptic in the second. GTA 6 would need to have a much more personal story with higher stakes worldwide to really capture that essence. Now, let's talk about the leaks really quick. Remember Joel and Ellie? Well, duh, of course you do. One of the leaks mentions that a character having a young son. This could be that Joel-Ellie dynamic. Maybe. But it feels like a stretch, but having a child like this in GTA hasn't really been seen before, and we'll have to wait and see. Keep in mind too, you know what happens in the second game. You know the scene. If that happens between the main character and their son, we could see a lot of emotional depth that isn't really seen at all in Grand Theft Auto, and could really elevate itself higher. But that kind of emotional depth, those kinds of betrayals that are really apparent to the stories, or really have that emotional currency, is just not something you see really in the Grand Theft Auto series. But if we could see the characters kind of ruin their lives and fall apart like in Last of Us 2, but doing so in a very narratively functional and, you know, fulfilling way, I don't know, I think we could see Grand Theft Auto give a little bit more depth. But we'll have to wait and see once GTA 6 gets announced, and I hope you enjoyed the video and make sure to like and subscribe.